ID Tech Engine. This was the engine that practically invented the modern first-person shooter. In 1993, Doom wasn't just a game, it was a revolution. It ran on ID Tech 1, letting players move smoothly in 3D environments when most other games were still flat and clunky. College campuses clogged their networks because students were secretly playing multiplayer Doom instead of studying. That's how disruptive this engine was. It broke real-life systems, not just digital ones. By 1996, ID Tech 2 powered Quake. Suddenly, you weren't just running around pixel mazes, you were stepping into fully 3D worlds, fighting enemies that actually looked three-dimensional. This was also the birth of online competitive gaming as we know it. People set up LAN parties just to duel in Quake, and it cemented ID's reputation as the company pushing technology forward. ID Tech 3 came with Quake 3 Arena in 1999, and it became the backbone for countless other titles like Call of Duty. Even if you never touched Quake, chances are you played a game built on its bones. In 2004, Doom 3 showed off ID Tech 4, shocking people with realistic lighting and shadows. For the first time, horror in a game felt physically oppressive. You'd walk down a corridor and see your flashlight beam struggle against the darkness. It wasn't just about graphics, it was about mood and atmosphere, all powered by the engine. Things shifted with ID Tech 5 and Rage in 2011. The engine introduced mega textures, letting entire landscapes be covered in unique detail instead of repeating patterns. The execution was messy, but the ambition was ahead of its time. Then came a comeback. Doom 2016, running on ID Tech 6, stunned everyone with buttery smooth action at 60 frames per second. The game felt like an adrenaline shot, and it was the engine that made it possible. And with Doom Eternal in 2020, ID Tech 7 proved that this technology wasn't just surviving, it was still setting the bar for speed, fluidity, and sheer chaos in shooters. For decades, every time ID released a new engine, the industry followed. From multiplayer mayhem to horror lighting to hyper-fluid action, the id Tech lineage has quietly defined how modern games feel to play. Unreal Engine. Born to power one game, it evolved into the backbone of an entire industry. The first Unreal Engine launched in 1998 alongside the game Unreal. What stood out wasn't just the graphics, though they were jaw-dropping at the time, but how flexible the tools were. Developers quickly realized they could build their own worlds with it. Games like Deus Ex ran on UE1, and suddenly it wasn't just Epic Games making hits, it was anyone who licensed their tech. By 2002, Unreal Engine 2 powered titles like Unreal Tournament 2003 and Splinter Cell. That last one is important. Splinter Cell made heavy use of shadows and light for stealth gameplay, and UE2 handled it beautifully. You could sneak, hide, and stalk enemies in environments that felt alive in ways most engines couldn't replicate. 2006 brought Unreal Engine 3, and this is where things exploded. Gears of War showed off cinematic, cover-based shooting that influenced countless action games. Mass Effect used UE3 to deliver a vast galaxy of planets and conversations that players still remember today. For nearly a decade, UE3 was everywhere, from blockbuster shooters to quirky indie games. In 2014, Unreal Engine 4 pushed things further by making the engine accessible to more than just big studios. Epic dropped the barrier to entry, letting small teams or even solo developers use the same tools as AAA companies. That openness fueled hits like Fortnite and PUBG, games that didn't just dominate sales charts, but shaped global gaming culture. And then there's Unreal Engine 5, introduced in 2021. The demos stunned people. Film-like lighting, details so dense that rocks and bricks looked real, and animations that felt seamless. Tech showcases like The Matrix Awakens blurred the line between a playable demo and a movie scene. Upcoming titles like Hellblade 2 show how UE5 isn't just about realism, it's about giving artists and designers freedom to create without compromise. What makes Unreal unique is how it keeps breaking out of gaming. Hollywood uses it for virtual sets, architects use it for visualization, and car companies design vehicles inside it. From shooters to blockbusters to indie projects, Unreal didn't just evolve, it became the language of interactive 3D itself. Source Engine. Valve didn't just launch titles, they rewired what players expected from gaming itself. In 2004, Valve released Half-Life 2 on the brand new Source Engine. What blew players away wasn't only the graphics, but the physics. You could pick up a barrel, stack it to climb over a wall, or launch saw blades with the gravity gun. It wasn't scripted, it was real interaction with the environment, and it made every encounter feel unpredictable. Alongside that came Counter-Strike Source, the updated version of the already iconic shooter. blockbuster, which became a staple in PC gaming cafes worldwide. Source wasn't just about realism, it was about flexibility. Modders flocked to it because Valve released tools that made creating custom maps, new weapons, or even entire new games possible. Communities exploded around mods like Gary's Mod, which turned Source into a digital sandbox where creativity was the game itself. The memes, the machinima videos, the absurd contraptions, much of gaming culture in the late 2000s traces back to what Source allowed. Then came Source 2. Valve quietly introduced it in 2015 with Dota 2 Reborn, overhauling the beloved MOBA with new graphics, improved performance, and tools that made modding even more accessible. A few years later, Source 2 powered Half-Life: Alyx, one of VR's breakthrough titles. The game wasn't just visually stunning, it redefined how immersive virtual reality could be, from reloading a pistol by hand to rummaging through drawers for ammo. For many, it was the first time VR felt like the future of gaming. Even though Valve hasn't turned Source 2 into a mass-licensed competitor to Unreal or Unity, its influence is undeniable. Entire genres thrived because of it. Competitive shooters, sandbox creativity, and VR innovation all carry the fingerprints of Source. To this day, fans still hope for the day Valve opens Source 2 more widely to developers, because the few games that have used it show just how much untapped potential remains. CryEngine. This was the tech that made gamers stop mid-level just to stare at digital water and whisper, "How is this even possible?" Crytek debuted the first CryEngine in 2002 with Far Cry, and it was jaw-dropping at the time. Huge open environments, lush islands, and water that actually looked like water. This was no longer about blocky corridors. Players suddenly had freedom: attack a base from the beach, sneak through the jungle, or snipe from a mountain ridge. The sense of scale felt endless compared to what shooters were offering before. Then came 2007, and CryEngine 2 arrived with Crysis. That game didn't just push boundaries, it melted them. Trees shattered into pieces when shot, bullets left ripples across rivers, and enemy AI reacted dynamically to stealth or chaos. But the engine's power became its curse. Crysis ran so heavy that "Can it run Crysis?" turned into a meme that defined PC gaming for years. It wasn't just a game, it was a benchmark that punished even the most expensive rigs. CryEngine 3 in 2009 expanded beyond PC, powering Crysis 2 and Crysis 3. These games proved Crytek could bring its world-building technology into cities, blending urban destruction with lush detail. Developers began experimenting with the engine for more than shooters. Architectural visualization, military training, even film pre-visualization used CryEngine because of how close it looked to real life. In 2016, Crytek dropped CryEngine 5 with a bold move, a pay-what-you-want model for developers. This lowered the barrier, allowing small studios to access the same tech once reserved for big-budget productions. Titles like Hunt, Showdown showed how CryEngine could still deliver hauntingly atmospheric worlds with lighting and sound that swallowed players whole. What makes CryEngine legendary isn't just the visuals, it's the way it forced the entire industry forward. Competing engines had to evolve to catch up. Gamers upgraded hardware just to keep up, and developers began chasing that crisis moment in their own projects. Even today, its DNA can be felt across engines that adopted advanced lighting, physics, and massive open worlds. Done watching? If you like this video, hit subscribe for more cool stuff.